Tonight, 3 fishermen perish in a boating tragedy in the state's southeast. Shattered locals reveal they warned the victims not to go out. Some Adelaide service stations run dry. Prices rise to a new high as the Premier looks to calm the petrol panic. And another hit for households expected tomorrow. The Reserve Bank poised to deliver another interest rates blow. Revelations an Adelaide mum who faked her little boy's cancer was funding her gambling addiction. And our exclusive interview with young pro star Sid Draper. Why his latest injury is not all bad news.
This is Adelaide's 9 News with Brenton Ragless.
Good evening. We begin with a boating tragedy on South Australia's Limestone coast. The bodies of 3 men pulled from the water after an ill-fated fishing trip. Police say they weren't wearing life jackets, despite warnings from locals about the area's treacherous and unpredictable conditions.
3 good mates on what should have been a routine fishing trip until a devastating turn.
It's just so sad to have that living person just ripped out of your life and taken forever.
Off the coast of Beachport in the state's southeast, rescue crews recovering the bodies of 65-year-old Johnny McKenzie, 67-year-old Russell Fisher and 74-year-old Les DeManuel.
The most friendly, warm people that anyone could ever meet. And what a huge loss to our lives and to their families' lives.
The New South Wales fishermen found around 7 last night, several hours into a full-scale search operation.
3 deaths is just unthinkable, unimaginable.
The alarm first raised by a concerned local who noticed the trio's ute and trailer still parked at the local boat ramp hours after they set off to collect cray pots. Locals telling 9 News the men had been warned about dangerous conditions.
Well, it was over 3 metre swell for a start, which is not good. We never go out over 3. Sometimes we don't go over 2.8 depending on the wind.
Police and locals loading the group's 7-metre bar crasher onto a trailer this morning, washing up on the shore after it was found upside down in the swell last night.
And that will form part of the investigation, the examination of that boat and of the deceased men themselves, to try and get an understanding of what actually caused the boat to overturn. While they did have life jackets on board, they weren't wearing them. None of the occupants were wearing them.
With wreckage scattered all along the coastline here, police are tonight warning people not to touch any of the debris as they continue to piece together exactly how this tragedy unfolded. Brenton.
Sam, thank you. The extent of the fuel crisis has tonight been laid bare. Service stations here in metropolitan Adelaide running dry, with the price of that petrol that remains continuing to rise. The war in the Middle East prompting urgent calls for a cut to the excise as relief.
A St Agnes petrol station run dry, a worrying sign of the times for motorists.
We're going to fuel up and no diesel here, so we'll, I don't know, have to go down the road or something.
Also, no unleaded 91, and what's left, the more expensive unleaded 95, almost $2.46 a litre.
It is what it is, yeah. So, yeah, if it costs that much, it costs that much, you know. You need fuel.
Across the state, where there is still supply, prices continue to rise. The RAA reporting the current average price for unleaded 91 as just over $2.30 a litre, with diesel topping almost $2.70 a litre. But the Premier says Canberra has confirmed the nation still has stock, 37 days of petrol and 30 days of diesel left.
What we see currently in the country, and South Australian regional communities are no exception, is principally driven out of demand, not out of a supply-orientated issue.
Hosting a roundtable with industry stakeholders today to update them on the fuel stocks.
Although it being a federal government responsibility, as a state government we can act as a facilitator, we can act as an advocate.
But the price pressure on industry has prompted the Liberals to call for tax cuts. Ashton Hearn at a Brussels sprout processing facility today, calling on Canberra to cut the fuel excise for at least 3 months and to reduce the road user charge funded by truckies.
What we're seeing in Iran is having an impact on farmers here in South Australia, on mums and dads and trucking companies, and this is a lever that can be pulled.
While the Greens say the answer is to encourage South Australians to ride public transport.
What we're calling for is 50-cent public transport fares. That's something the government could do right now.
The Premier says he will not follow the action taken in Victoria to impose a price cap on retailers, arguing on advice from the RAA that it won't necessarily stop price gouging. Instead, he says that responsibility rests with the consumer watchdog, the ACCC, with hefty penalties in place if sellers are caught rorting motorists. Brenton.
There you go, Gus, thank you. And with more on what all this means ahead of tomorrow's Reserve Bank decision on rates, here's Finance Editor Chris Kohler.
All these economists now expect an interest rate hike tomorrow. You can see Australia's big four banks, but also plenty of other big names. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, HSBC. They all expect Australia's cash rate will tomorrow go from 3.85% to 4.1%. The money markets are a bit less certain, but you can see the way the last 6 weeks have gone. After the February rise, the market saw only a 10% chance of a follow-up hike in March. Now it sees about a 64% chance. Inflation had already been running too hot, and a significant rise in oil prices will flow through to that data in the form of fuel costs. Because the RBA is responsible for getting inflation under control, it's expected to move quickly. We'll find out for sure tomorrow, but as it stands tonight, borrowers are bracing for a triple whammy at the Bowser, at the checkout and on the mortgage.
A court has heard a Westlake's mother who admitted faking her son's cancer diagnosis had a spiralling gambling addiction and described funding a lifestyle like the rich and famous. But today, her husband told the judge he was completely in the dark and he now knows what rock bottom feels like.
A silent departure from court, having just addressed his wife, who Ben Miller claims destroyed his family. Michelle Bodzer faked her 6-year-old son's cancer diagnosis, collecting thousands in donations. The court hearing the motivation behind it all, mounting debt and a spiralling gambling addiction.
The defendant's actions are deeply offensive. They exploit and diminish the suffering of seriously ill children.
Mr Miller was initially accused of taking part in the scam. His charges were dropped and he maintains he had no idea what his wife was doing. I want you to know that you have destroyed me and my children's lives. We've had to rebuild everything. I had complete trust in you as my wife and I never doubted you. I was devoted to our family. I now know what rock bottom feels like.
Were there any signs that she was doing this?
Bodzar's web of lies leaving a lasting mark on her family and friends who believed in her scam.
But there's also feelings of guilt and shame that they helped the offender by gathering donations from other community members.
Very little emotion was shown by Bodzar today. She did wipe away tears, though, at the prospect of seeing her children again. But prosecution are adamant she should be banned from spending time with them once she's released from custody. Bodzar has asked to be spared time behind bars. She'll be sentenced next month. Shannon McDonald, 9 News.
Missing grandmother Patricia Ewens has now been found after vanishing in the city over 3 weeks ago. She was located by a woman walking her dog in North Adelaide. The family says she's been taken to hospital with multiple injuries and have thanked the community for their support in helping to find her. The Chief Public Health Officer has denied suggestions she covered up details of just how toxic the algal bloom was in its early stages. Questions are being raised tonight about how much the public was told and when.
When foam and dead fish float to the ocean surface, concern for human health is right behind.
In retrospect, should we have put out the asthma message earlier? I really don't think it would have made much difference.
Freedom of information documents obtained by the ABC's Four Corners program claim to show a 4-month lag between public warnings and the detection of potentially harmful brevitoxins found in oysters as well as other dead animals.
As soon as we found it in the oysters, we had to shut down the aquaculture and the oyster farming. So we clearly made it public.
All the advice that she has provided the government, we've made publicly available the first opportunity, and I have no reason to second guess her or the substantial public health team that sits around her.
Just days before the state election, the Liberal Party and the Greens are pushing for transparency, saying it's vital the public are informed of every shred of information regarding the algal bloom response.
That's what's probably most concerning to South Australians. They want to see the full picture. They want to know what they're dealing with.
Findings of a parliamentary inquiry into the algal bloom released last month found no fault in the government's response, which went against the views of the inquiry's chair.
It's clear throughout this whole crisis that the Premier has been more focused on word games than dealing with the severity of the issue.
Brevitoxin, of course, is a toxin, but so is alcohol as a toxin. The algal bloom, according to SA Health, resulted in 0 presentations to the public hospital system.
Will DeFulvio, 9 News.
A former reality TV star charged with burning her partner's dismembered body after allegedly cutting off his head has given birth behind bars. Accused murderer Tamika Chesser had the baby while in detention at a mental health facility north of Adelaide. The 34-year-old Beauty and the Geek star was pregnant when she was arrested last June. She's due to face court again next month. The Albanese government is scrambling to make global energy deals as fuel prices near $3 a litre for some Australians. The US president is promising a resolution to global instability in the oil industry isn't far away.
From Air Force One, a presidential price pledge.
Prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
Tonight, Israeli soldiers are preparing for 3 more weeks of war as some Queenslanders prepare to pay $3 a litre for diesel.
Imagine all those tradies out there that have got to fill up their diesel ute. I mean, they need that relief.
The government lowering fuel standards from an Australian refinery to provide some relief, but even that will take time.
We want to see every litre from our domestic refineries going into our domestic market, to our domestic customers, to our farmers, to our truckers.
And the longer fuel stays high, the more likely food prices increase, all in the sights of the Reserve Bank that meets today and may raise interest rates tomorrow.
We're making do with what we've got. We're trying to get that fuel out as quickly as we possibly can.
I don't know that I want to make a deal, because you know what? First of all, nobody even knows who you're dealing with, because most of their leadership has been killed.
With deals in the air, one independent here is urging the federal government to leverage our natural assets as the world looks for energy solutions.
The Strait of Hormuz also a major thoroughfare for global gas, with shortages around the world, but not in Australia.
Since we've got gas but we don't have as much oil, are there deals that to be done that can give us more oil in cost for that gas?
Those very discussions underway tonight in Japan.
But we do have that trusted relationship. I'm very confident that these supplies will continue to come to Australia.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Iran insists it's never asked for a ceasefire and is willing to defend itself for as long as it takes, after the US president suggested Tehran was trying to make a deal. It issued the denial as Dubai International Airport again suspended flights after a drone incident.
A first-person view drone lines up its target, a US airbase in Baghdad. This attack by an Iranian-backed proxy force in Iraq, the first time the group has beaten American defences. It joins a powerful new weapon deployed in Iran's fight. The advanced Sajil ballistic missile launched at Israel, Iran declaring it's fired 700 missiles and 3,600 drones since the war started, while Israel says it hit 200 Iranian targets in the past day, insisting the mission will better the future for Iranian people.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says the moment is approaching where they can embark on their new path of freedom.
That path could be a long one ahead.
We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes.
We've essentially defeated Rehn. I guess they can have a little bit of fight back, but not much.
As flights were temporarily suspended at Dubai's international airport after a drone incident caused a fire at one of its fuel tanks, Iran's foreign minister says it has never asked for a ceasefire, denying the US president's claim that Tehran wanted a deal.
We don't see any reason why we should talk with Americans, because we were talking with them when they decided to attack us.
He also rejected Donald Trump's suggestion Supreme Leader Mushtafa Khamenei may not be alive. Conspiracies shot down too today about the welfare of the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, offering proof of life on social media. I'm dying for coffee, he says. Despite the ongoing threat of war, Israel's Home Command has started lifting some government safety restrictions, allowing schools across parts of the country to reopen. As people like Tavor Lahat, an Australian Israeli, contemplate life without war for the next generation.
We love our country, we love living here, we obviously love Australia too. Maybe we should just raise her and raise our children in a safer environment.
In Israel, Mimi Becker, 9 News.
The captain of the Iranian women's soccer team has dropped her asylum bid, becoming the 5th player to fly home. Anti-regime activists have suggested a team handler remained in Australia to pressure the group to return. Family members of the women have reportedly been threatened or gone missing since their defection. Of the 7 players who initially sought asylum, only 2 remain in Australia. A star Liberal candidate has been left red-faced after an online inquisition into his missing corflutes came up empty. Journo-turned-politician Frank Pangello labelled the apparent thief as a creep on social media, but 9 News can reveal the absent poster puzzle is less sinister than it seems.
The Liberals' so-called watchdog has been searching for a thief.
What are you doing with all my corflutes? Where are they going?
Candidate for Waite, Frank Pangello, posting a series of social media videos claiming a creep was removing his corflutes along Belair Road, installing a security camera to catch the assailant, even offering a $500 reward for information leading to an answer.
Mel, this is becoming quite sinister now, and it's nasty. It's nasty.
But 9 News fact-checking can reveal the corflutes were in fact removed in accordance with the law. A statement from Mitcham Council revealing the corflutes and camera had been installed on council land, within the verge rather than on the private property behind it. The council confirming it removed both the signs and camera.
The corflute creep, we now know who it is, and it's the Mitcham, the city of Mitcham. And I'm glad I called them the corflute creeps.
The council says it attempted to contact the property owner multiple times to let them know of the breach. Mr Pangello now convinced it was Labor who was prompting the council complaints.
It was quite obvious that somebody from the Labor Party had spotted it and decided to make some mischief. Well, that's good because I'm now on Channel 9 News tonight.
Just follow the law, Frank, that's all, instead of trying to make everything part of some kind of bigger plot.
Mr Pangello's sign has now been moved away from the verge and off public property. He's now calling on the council to return what was taken.
I want my camera back, please, and I want my corflutes back.
He now intends to donate the $500 reward to the Hutt Street Centre. Gus McDonald, 9 News.
One Nation leader Pauline Hanson has paid a visit to Port Lincoln today as the party continues a regional tour ahead of the state election this weekend. Flanked by State Leader Cory Bernardi, the pair spruik plans on immigration, housing and changes to GST.
A pleasure to meet you.
No seat is safe. There is a movement that's happening right across the whole country, and I felt it here in South Australia. People want change. They're fed up with major political parties.
The regional campaign tour also stopping in Whyalla to visit locals. The Sydney Swans have admitted they changed the script of a pre-game tribute to victims of the Bondi terror attack, removing references to the Jewish community. They've apologised for making the blunder as the AFL was referred to the Royal Commission into anti-Semitism.
Sydney Swans in damage control.
That's on me, I take full responsibility.
Over these comments before their opening round game against Carlton during a tribute to heroes and victims of the Bondi terrorist attack.
To all in our community, we stand with you.
Community was mentioned, but there was no reference anywhere to the Jewish community.
It's bizarre to talk about Australia's worst ever terrorist attack, which targeted the Jewish community. It was on the first night of Hanukkah, and overwhelmingly the victims were Jewish, without acknowledging the fact they were Jewish.
Liberal Senator James Patterson has referred the AFL to the Royal Commission into anti-Semitism, asking who ordered the removal of any references to the Jewish community and why. Matthew Pavlich says it was the Swans, denying they acted at the behest of the AFL.
We worked on it internally, we sent that to the AFL. We also worked on it from there and ended up doing what we did. Again, let me be really clear, is they didn't have any directive whatsoever to change it.
He apologised, saying the intention was to be inclusive and honour all those affected by the massacre.
Having said that, we are very, very sorry that this issue has overshadowed what was a genuine attempt to show care and compassion towards the Jewish community.
Brett McLeod, 9 News.
And Tom Rehn joined us now with a look ahead to sport. Ready, a great start for the Crows, and it could get even better.
Well, they've got to make room for Isaac Rankin, who of course missed round one, Brenton, which is good news. That's for Friday night's Bulldogs blockbuster. Rory Sloane weighs in on that selection squeeze, but It's not all rosy at Westlakes. Sid the Kid has had another setback.
It's just an unfortunate one, having a bit of time off in pre-season and starting to get back and have this ankle, but you know, it is what it is, that's football.
Also a miserable Monday for the Power, but is there some relief for Todd Marshall? And a stern message to his doubters. Rakocevic has a score to settle in the Sixers championship pursuit. That and a lot more coming up later in sport. Brenton.
Great stuff, Rehn. Thank you. See you soon. Still to come on 9 News tonight is Adelaide's own astronaut. And travelling to space comes at a hefty cost. Next, the ticket offered to Catherine Bennell-Pegg for an out-of-this-world journey. Her plea to the government. Also, a major milestone reached in the central market makeover. And a little later, why the makers of Ozempic say Australian children could benefit from the weight loss wonder drug. A Perth man has faced court charged with the murder of Morford Vale man Caleb Liriano. 22-year-old Alan Kiplimo didn't apply for bail and will remain behind bars for the next 6 months while detectives build their case. Police say Caleb was lured to a park near his Morford Vale home last Wednesday morning and was attacked by Kiplimo when he arrived. Kiplimo was extradited from Perth on Saturday and will face court again in September. The federal government is tonight refusing to say if it will back Australia's first astronaut to train under our nation's flag on a mission to space. There are concerns time is running out for South Australia's Catherine Bennell-Pegg to journey to the International Space Station. It's an opportunity that would come at a cost.
Catherine Bennell-Pegg is no stranger to making history. The first astronaut to be named Australian of the Year and the first to train under our nation's flag. But there's still one milestone she's yet to reach.
I haven't been to space yet. You know, as an astronaut, you live a life of uncertainty. My focus is to make sure that I'm ready should the opportunity arise.
Now that rare opportunity to create history is here. The European Space Agency writing to the Albanese government, offering our country's only mission-ready astronaut a place on the International Space Station, but at a cost of $100 million. Ms Bennell-Pegg says money invested in space ultimately pays dividends.
In Australia, our exploration program is returning more than $7 for every $1 we're putting into it.
And with the world's space economy set to triple over the next decade, she says our country now has an opportunity to become a major player in space.
Australia is poised to take its place at the forefront of human endeavour.
With any investment having a positive impact across a multitude of jobs and industries, well beyond scientists and engineers.
We also need space tradies to build what is designed and to test it. We need space nutritionists and space fitness instructors, space truck drivers to drive the rockets. We need space lawyers and policymakers to represent Australia on the world stage.
Other nations who've sent their astronauts into space have seen benefits well beyond just financial. The historic moment also inspiring younger generations and creating a sense of national unity.
It's not really about the astronaut, they're just the means through which, the country can showcase itself on the world stage.
We contacted the Prime Minister's office several times for comment. We were referred to the Minister for Industry and Innovation. A spokesperson saying the Australian Space Agency is broadly engaged with its European counterparts, exploring closer cooperation with our space industry. But it's not clear how much longer the federal government has to accept this opportunity before another country steps up in our place.
Around the world, a lot of human spaceflight nations are really scrambling to get their astronauts up on the space station while it's still in operation.
Ella Duffy, 9 News.
A rainy day made for the perfect occasion to put the cap on a $400 million redevelopment. The 40-storey residential and hotel tower at Market Square topped out today as 8 years of work to double the size of the central markets reaches its final stretch.
It's the creation of a new retail precinct and 3,000 square metres of public open space sitting on top of a podium. If that's not world class, I don't know what is.
The project should be fully completed by the end of the year. And grey skies have brought an almost wintry feel to Adelaide today, but Jessica Braithwaite, the rain is not hanging around for long.
No, it's kind of a one-day only special, Brenton. Probably by tomorrow we're going to be looking at dry skies again. But for today, it's been quite grey. We saw, a good 5 millimetres in the city, and it is still falling. It's been a slow and steady kind of a rainy day, almost with a bit of a dreary feel there. And the Brolly Brigade certainly out in the city as the skies just continued to deliver that rainfall pretty much from sunrise through to sunset, but nothing too heavy. So nice to see. While in the outback we've still got warnings for heavy rain. But for Adelaide, we're looking to dry up pretty quickly. Today we had that top just above 20 degrees. By tomorrow, you're probably going to even be looking at the sun again, and quite a fine forecast for the rest of the week. So I'll have those details coming up soon, Brenton.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Jessica. In the news ahead, stars shine on Hollywood's Night of Nights. All the action from the Academy Awards as Australian stars go for glory. That's next. Also, North Korea heads to the polls, but there's just one candidate on the ballots. And there's a bear in there, the case of a road live cross-crasher in the United States. One battle after another has claimed one award after another at the Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. While our Aussie hopefuls may have missed out, the Academy Awards were a little more golden than usual.
It was feathers, sparkles and suave for Hollywood's elite on the red carpet. But the ultimate accessory for the night was a gold statue.
And the Oscar goes to...
And it was one win after another for one battle after another, taking home Best Picture.
One battle after another.
And Best Director. Sinners, the most nominated film in Oscars history, ending up with 4 wins. Best Actor, Michael B. Jordan, beating Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio.
I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith.
Our own Rose Byrne against stiff competition, losing Best Actress to Hamnet's Jessie Buckley.
So I would like to dedicate this to the beautiful chaos of a mother's heart.
While Brisbane-born Jacob Elordi missed out on Best Supporting Actor to veteran Sean Penn. But animated film K-pop Demon Hunters couldn't be stopped. It's track golden, given the statue, which is exactly that. The Earworm, the first K-pop tune to win the Best Song category. But while celebrating the new, there was a nod to hits of the past.
Love is all you need.
And the legacy of those who have been lost in the last year was felt deeply. Billy Crystal honouring his friend, director and actor Rob Reiner, killed alongside his wife in December.
My friend Rob's movies will last for lifetimes. That it meant everything to him, that his work meant something to you.
Rachel McAdams, remembering her mentor, Diane Keaton.
She wore so many hats, literally and figuratively.
Comedic king Conan O'Brien was back hosting for a second time.
Last year, when I hosted, Los Angeles was on fire. But this year, everything's going great.
And there were political statements on and off the stage.
No to war and free Palestine.
America and Israel's war with Iran leading to unprecedented security measures.
A lot of Hollywood right now is essentially in lockdown. 1,000 security personnel down there at the Dolby Theatre and snipers on the roofs.
But in the end, the Oscars were executed without a hitch for almost everyone.
Anna, just curious, what do you think of my dress tonight?
And the nominees are...
In Hollywood, Reid Butler, 9 News.
For the first time in 7 years, North Koreans are heading to the polls to elect a parliament. In previous elections, voters were usually presented with only one pre-selected candidate. The ballot was announced as Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un and his teenage daughter watched a live fire test of a rocket launch system. An American news report has taken an unexpected turn after a black bear appeared behind a reporter while she was on air.
It's walking out this way. We may get back in the car depending on what it does, but right now you can see it here in the driveway.
Looks pretty content. The bear's been living in the neighbourhood for more than a month, with local authorities unable to trap it. Well, still ahead in 9 News this Monday, it's the wonder drug that's changed the face of the weight loss industry. Next, why the maker of Ozempic says millions more Australians, even children, could benefit from the jab. The Danish royals continue their tour of Australia, today heading to the nation's capital. How the looming rates hike impacted Australia's share market today. Chris Kohler's finance report is next. Taking a look at finance, and tomorrow's looming interest rate rise weighed on the share market today. Finance editor Chris Kohler has the details.
With more and more economists predicting a rate hike tomorrow from the RBA, investors today were in no mood to buy. The share market slipped to a 3-month low as big mining companies fell sharply. The price of iron ore dropped and the price of oil remains above $100 a barrel. Coals, some of the banks and of course energy stocks rose, but not enough to pull the index higher. Woodside is actually up more than 30% so far this year and was the most traded stock on our index last week. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, was trading at 70 US cents this afternoon and remains near multi-decade highs against the Japanese yen.
Thank you, Chris. Doctors are pushing back at a Danish company calling for its blockbuster weight loss drug to be given to children with obesity. The CEO of Novo Nordisk is asking the federal government to expand taxpayer subsidy of the company's big-name drug, Ozempic. But GPs say there are more affordable options.
He's not Danish royalty, but his company's become the king of pharmaceuticals.
Thinner people have less issues with health.
Ozempic, a weight loss injection, has made Novo Nordisk Europe's richest corporate. Its chief executive claiming Australia has what it takes to tackle obesity.
Not just treat it, but actually prevent it at scale.
But of course, his company's product isn't for free. Ozempic and other so-called GLP-1 drugs can cost more than $400 a month. And once you're on them, you're typically advised to stay on them.
They are expensive and there's a lot of other treatments available that might be more appropriate and a better first line.
Currently, only people with type 2 diabetes get subsidised access to the drugs through the Pharmaceutical Benefit Scheme, when the company claims millions more would benefit, including adolescents whose increasing rates of obesity in Western countries is affecting life expectancy.
Tested and tried on adolescents and making sure that they're safe. So if support and help is needed on that front, also it's available so we don't discriminate the age.
We certainly need more evidence before we look at that.
Especially when the company's own advertising says Ozempic is not for children. Not to mention that subsidising GLP-1s on a massive scale would cripple the federal health budget. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
Australia's own Queen Mary has mixed with the crowds in Canberra on day 3 of her and King Frederic's royal tour. The couple also laying a wreath at the War Memorial before talking trade and climate at Parliament House.
An Australian Queen back home among her people. In the nation's capital, paying respects at the Australian War Memorial at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Placing a poppy in the Roll of Honour for a Tasmanian soldier killed in the Second World War and buried in Denmark, a connection across time and terrain to the Tasmanian-born Mary. Outside, welcomed with open arms and the King by her side, and it was clear who the crowd was most keen to see.
We got a photo with them and she gave me a hug and said happy birthday because it's my 10th birthday.
It makes you think that the fairy tale can come true.
I'm actually from Melbourne. I got on the road yesterday, regardless of the price of petrol, and came up to see them.
How long was the drive?
7 hours, so absolutely. The roads were quiet.
This is the royal couple's 4th visit to Australia, but they can still draw a crowd. The public given the chance to meet and greet before it's down to business at Parliament House. Welcomed by the Prime Minister and accompanied by more than 50 Danish businesses, using some royal diplomacy to deepen ties in a changing world.
We are countries with very similar values, in particular the challenge of climate change.
We'd love to walk hand in hand towards the sunset on that one.
First, though, it's a sunset dinner at the Lodge tonight before jetting off to Melbourne tomorrow. Amanda Kopp, 9 News.
Already he's back with sport after the break. Now, another setback for a young crow, Rehn.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Sid Draper's had a bit of a horror run recently with injuries over the pre-season. Now he's dealing with an ankle concern. But up next, the young gun tells us why there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Also, Rory Sloan joins us to tell us where it all went wrong for Port. There's a long list. And why this Sixers big man has a personal incentive to prevent the Phoenix rising. Hello again. Crow's young gun Sid Draper has opened up to 9 News about his frustrating pre-season after injuring his ankle in a trial match. But with scans showing it's only on the minor side, the 19-year-old will soon be back in action, confident his body is now better equipped to handle senior footy.
Just when Sid Draper was ready to hit full throttle, the brakes have been pumped yet again.
Meant to be playing my first full game, and pretty early into the third I rolled my ankle. Which, a bit annoying. Wouldn't be anything too bad, just a little sprain, I reckon.
Scans confirming Saturday's trial match setback might restrict Draper for only a week. Missing time, though, has become a frustrating reality for the second-year midfielder.
It's just an unfortunate one, having a bit of time off in pre-season and starting to get back and have this ankle, but, it is what it is, that's football.
His stop-start summer defined by a lingering groin injury, but finally he's seeing some light.
It's just been a bit of groin management. Just had a bit of soreness coming off the last year, and just a bit of precautionary, getting a bit stronger, getting my whole body a bit stronger, which has been really good. And right now it's feeling pretty incredible, so take that as a positive.
The Crows playing the long game with their number 4 pick while still believing he will make an impact in 2026.
Definitely. It's challenging for a young man with that much power. His body's got to catch up to his power. He's just so quick and agile, and hopefully we get some continuity into his footy and he'll play a big part this year.
Even a rain-soaked training wouldn't dampen the mood of Isaac Rankin, who on Friday night against the Dogs will play his first competitive match in 7 months, having served his ban for using a homophobic slur. Braithwaite Ingram, 9 News.
Well, good news too for Port Adelaide on the injury front, with Todd Marshall cleared of a serious ankle issue. The defender had scans this morning after an incident late in that loss to North Melbourne. They showed he's avoided any structural damage. He'll be further assessed tomorrow. It was Marshall's return game after spending the previous 550 days on the sidelines with injuries. Well, there's a bit to dissect from round one, so let's get straight to our man, Rory Sloan. Rory, we're going to start with the power. There's plenty to fix there. Where would you start?
Look, I'd start defensively. They were really poor with some of their defensive efforts, and that'll sting Port because they've prided themselves in that area and in the contest where they were beaten by -20. So they'll want to tighten up those two areas as well as their midfield clearances if they're going to beat the Bombers this week. Yeah, let's hope they can do it. You've had new coaches with new systems before. Does it take some time to actually adjust? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it looked like on the weekend, especially defensively. They looked like they were caught in between two different game styles. So give Port a month or so. They've got some other guys that have just come back in off some injuries, and they're going to have to adjust to a new game style under Josh Carr. I know they've banned the word rebuild at Alberton, but if they fall to the Bombers on Sunday, is it one of those cases where they're just going to have to concede? No chance they'll fall to the Bombers on Sunday. They will respond in true Port Adelaide fashion, and I love that they're not using the term rebuild. It's not a good term, and I reckon it breeds mediocrity if you use that term. I like it. Different story across at West Lakes. Not many gave the Crows a chance against the Pies at the MCG, being a bit of a hoodoo for them. How did they prove everyone wrong? Look, it's only been since 2014. I think I was part of that game too. Like, once in my career, we've beaten them there. So I was so proud watching the boys on Saturday night defeat the Pies. Look, we match up so well against them. Pies without Darcy Moore. Our big boys stood up. That third quarter, though, as we took the game on, the more we took the game on, the better we looked. And that's the type of footy I expect to see from the Crows. And some individuals were brilliant. Riley Thilthorpe up forward and then through the middle. Outstanding. Wayne Millerer was brilliant. And Braden Cook, looks like the penny really has dropped with him too. Oh, look, I love Cookie. He's been working hard the last few years, making sure that body's up to scratch, and he's one of the most skillful boys on the list. We saw him through the wing on the weekend, but I reckon eventually we might see him down half-back using that ball off the line, kind of like a Brodie Smith type. And he's got good hands too. There was so much to like, and it only gets better. Isaac Rankin slotting straight back in. The hard part is leaving someone out. Who do you think will be the unlucky one? Oh, look, I don't envy Nixie in this situation. If someone's going to be incredibly stiff, there's probably a few options you could go. You could probably drop Toby Murray for Isaac and go a little bit smaller. Maybe Tex misses every 6-day break. I don't know what their plan is around Tex this year, or it'd have to be someone really stiff, for like a Luke Pedlar. But look, I want to see Luke Pedlar have a month of footy under his belt because I reckon he's got a lot to offer too.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Brilliant as always, Sloaney. Love your work. We're going to catch you again next week.
See you next week, Rennie.
Can't wait. Well, Collingwood veteran Scott Pendlebury will head to the tribunal tomorrow night trying to keep his unblemished record intact. Sam McClure joins us live ahead of Footy Classified. Sam, 426 games, no suspensions. Will or should that record save him?
Evening to you, Tom. It's a great question, isn't it? That good bloke clause that you were sort of alluding to has existed in our game for so long. It was in 2024 that Charlie Cameron used it successfully. The AFL actually changed the rules after that, so it doesn't really exist anymore. Having said that, Tommy, I'm not sure that Collingwood absolutely need that clause. Did this bump deserve a week, or was Scott, as he said on radio today, just bracing for impact? It's a fascinating case for the tribunal.
It's going to be intriguing. Can't wait to watch you on Footy Classified tonight, Sammy. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Sam McClure there. Let's stick with footy because Swan star Errol Goulden will miss at least 4 months of football, with the midfielder set to undergo surgery on his dislocated shoulder later this week. It's a huge setback for the 23-year-old who missed half of last season with a serious ankle injury. Goulden hurt his shoulder in Sydney's huge win over the reigning premiers Brisbane. Let's switch codes now. The Adelaide 36ers say there's no way they'll let their chance at a long-awaited grand final appearance slip. Nick Rakocevic has more incentive than most, having been continually booed throughout Game 2 against the Phoenix on Saturday night. Hostility which only served to fire him up, the centre pulling in 18 points and 10 rebounds.
It's going to continue to happen too, and, it just kind of makes me go harder, you know what I mean? Because that's just people who either doubt or, have something against me, which, like I said, that just goes to my roots, and it just gives me personal energy just to prove people wrong.
Let's hope he does it. A tribute to the late, great Ken Cole will proceed tomorrow night's 7 p.m. tip-off. What a legend. Well, South Australia's Shield clash against Victoria looks set for a draw, with rain halting much of day 3. The visitors did well to wrap up the lower order, the skipper getting amongst things with a couple of wickets.
Ooh, a reverse. Ooh, Todd, that's ambitious. Todd, that's out.
Yeah, Victoria all out with a 3-run first innings lead, but play was halted soon afterwards with 1 day to play. Still got to make the Shield final, which is very, very exciting. Can't wait. Hopefully they go back-to-back. That's the sport, Ragless.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, Brenton. Catch you tomorrow. Well, rain clearing this evening with sunny days ahead. Jessica has the weather outlook right after the break. In the meantime, take note of tomorrow's speed cameras.
Hi, it's Rue Dits and Loz from Triple M Breakfast.
Turn us on tomorrow morning for the latest Adelaide news, traffic and weather.
And don't miss Adelaide's most listened to segment, The Rumour Mill.
On 104.7 Triple M.
Hello. Well, after a day-long steady rain event, it's sort of just getting to the point now where there's nothing quite falling out of the sky at the moment here at Mitcham, but certainly it's been a rainy old day. We've had a few millimetres in the city. The temperatures didn't want to budge underneath all of that cloud cover, so we got up to just above 20 degrees, and right now it's around 19 degrees in the city. Around the suburbs, well, the temperatures were pretty stubborn, not rising all that far. We got up to 20 degrees at Mawson Lakes and Noarlunga, and actually it was only 17 degrees at Mount Lofty today. In terms of the rain, well, we've seen around 6 to 7 millimetres through the hills. A lot of areas on the plains were around that 1 to 4 millimetre mark, so it certainly wasn't, super heavy, but it was just steady rainfall, which gave a kind of a gloomy but kind of nourishing feel as well. Now, the heaviest rain, though, the problematic rain, is happening to our north, so where we've got flooding warnings in place. So nearly 30 millimetres near Oodnadatta, where we've got the outback flooding happening, 14 millimetres at Mount Mary, while through the south it's been more of a peaceful pace, 6 millimetres at Mount Gambier, 5 millimetres at Robe, and temperatures just making it to the high teens through the southeast today.
Have a look at the charts. You can really see where that rain is coming from. It's the big chunky low in the middle of the country there, and then it's sort of dragging that moisture down towards Adelaide and through to Victoria as well. So Melbourne's in for a showery day tomorrow with a top of 21. Canberra could also see a few showers with 24, while Sydney just looking overcast and warm with 31 for a top. Back to South Australia, and I think the outback towns will be glad to see the heaviest rain is eventually pushing off to New South Wales because we're already underwater through there. But the rain's not all over. We've still got heavy rainfall possible around Oodnadatta, Roxby Downs, Broken Hill, temperatures in the mid-20s. It could still be a little overcast at Nurayutpa with 23 and Murray Bridge with 25, but we should see that sun peeking back through from Victor Harbour down through to Mount Gambier as the skies dry out. Now, where the rain is still causing problems, up around Oodnadatta, Moomba, Coober Pedy, warnings are still in place there for intense rainfall and totals up to 120 millimetres. Of course, the warnings have been in place for weeks now around there. On local waters, winds southeasterly 10 to 15 knots and seas below a metre. And hard to believe it looking at today's grey skies, but come tomorrow we're back to dry weather around Adelaide, just partly cloudy conditions in the mid-20s and the top of 26 degrees for Adelaide. Finding up even further after that, in fact, very steady and consistent with a pattern there of 28 degrees for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And the last weekend of the Fringe Festival looking fantastic as well, Brenton.
And I love that sweet sound of crickets after a decent rain. Thanks so much, Jessica. Beautiful. And thank you for joining us. That's 9 News for this Monday. Stay watching now for a current affair with further news updates to follow. From all our team, we hope you enjoy your evening here on 9. Good night.